think people are getting interested in that race coming up a week from Tuesday. Representative Echols, good to have you back. Representative Dunnington. So the GOP has got a runoff between Mr. Stitt and Mayor Cornett. And what are your thoughts as this thing gets red hot?
Well, look, not only is the negative campaigning bad for the state, and the fact that both of the candidates now have spent time and money putting out negative ads against one another, but both of them have spent time and money and energy trying to let the public know how much like President Trump they are. The problem is our president has been incredibly divisive and crass, and our state can't afford 4 more years of our top executive position taking a position that is crass or that is off message. What we need right now is real leadership. We need real inspiration. We want our leaders to not tell us the bad things about each other, but to tell us the good things about our state.
And it's the GOP that's having this runoff. And Drew Edmondson, by the way, is up there in the cheap seat, just taking it all, eating popcorn. But this is a big race, and the voters have a big decision to make a week from Tuesday.
Yeah, intramural fights are always the hardest, and that's what's going on with the GOP race right now between Kevin Stitt and Mick Cornett, both with strong bases. Kevin Stitt very strong in Tulsa, Mick Cornett very strong in Oklahoma City. I think we have 2 good candidates to choose from in this race. It is disheartening to see the high level of negativity. I think the citizens are sick of the negativity. I know Representative Dunnington and I, and being in races, it's very tough, but you know, citizens, at the end of the day, candidates go negative because we let it work, and eventually I hope we stop doing that. I hope we strongly focus on the issues. We have a strong challenger in Drew Edmondson coming up in the Democrat Party, and I think the Republicans are going to have a strong candidate for governor that comes out of this. I just hope they don't beat each other down so much. It's hard to bring that unity back in the general.
Speaking of tough weeks and negativity, there are some indications the media may start to be focusing on down-ballot races. This week, we're hearing both Mr. Stitt and Mr. Cornett talk about we need audits. Now, the state auditor and inspector's office is under the microscope by the media. Not a good week in terms of the press for he and that particular office. Do you think, because the next governor's got to be working with those down-ballot offices, that it's a good thing that the public and press are starting to focus on those important statewide offices that don't get a lot of attention? Well,
absolutely. It's a great thing. What happens in your government is more than just the legislature and the governor. Those are very important. But the truth is, and I talk about this all the time, one of the fundamental problems with Oklahoma's governmental structure is there is too much power in both bureaucracy, and that a lot of it can be fixed with our down-ballot races. Who's our insurance commissioner? Who's our labor commissioner? What's happening with our state auditor? We talk about audits all the time. We talk about the House has already done that. We passed an audit bill 2 years ago. But who is going to implement these bills? They're very important. And I think citizens also are wanting to know who's going to represent them in all facets of government. Governor, your local House, Senate gets a lot of the attention, but we really need to be focusing on these down-ballot races.
And because everybody's talking about audits, there's special emphasis on the competency of this office and down the road. Do you think that the media and the public are starting to get interested in those races?
Yeah, I think first and foremost that we need to look at this idea of candidates talking about the importance of audits, candidates talking about the importance of transparency. And the fact is that we have audits in state government, and even when you have audits, as has been alluded this week, audits can have 2 different perspectives. You can have a group of people that are looking at the audit one way and a group that are looking at the other way. An audit is not the end-all be-all fix to government. The end-all be-all is having leaders that are ready to lead and make sure that people of Oklahoma are moving forward, that our economy is getting better, that we're funding education and doing things of that nature. So absolutely down-ballot races are important, but even more important than that, people need to understand that audits aren't the end-all be-all fix to our state government.
And it's going to be interesting a few days talking about that. Now, this week, the Oklahoma Education Association put out an ad. And by the way, there are other things besides statewide races. There are legislative races where they made a visual description of how many folks who opposed the tax increase for education have either been defeated or are in runoffs. Do you think their point's being well taken? And what does it mean?
I think their point needs to be well taken. We've now started back to school all across the state of Oklahoma. Our teachers and principals are back in their buildings, and our children are back in the classrooms. And while many of our teachers have had a pay increase, what we haven't had is we still have overcrowded classrooms. We still have a lack of resources. Parents are still being asked to bring paper and supplies to our schools. We still have 4-day school weeks in as much as 20% of the state. Education, we took a very good step forward, but it has not been completely fixed yet, and it needs to be focused on. And the legislature is the group that sets the budget for that. So we need to have committed legislators to fixing the entire problem of education, not just the first step.
So a lot of these members, some in your caucus, are in runoffs. Already been some members defeated. Is there a cause and effect between the vote that happened back in the spring and some of these folks that are in runoff in a week or so?
Well, there's no doubt the citizens want education fixed. Now, I want to go into what happened last year. There was a 20% increase in the education budget. The economy in the state of Oklahoma is going strong. We have hit above our projections every month for, I think, over the last 12 or 14 months. We're looking to put an incredible amount of sum in the rainy day fund next year, over $300 million, have between $5 to maybe even as much as $750 million additional money to spend. The economy in Oklahoma is going strong, and we have to continue this fight to fund education, to fund it at the level. I was at South Lakes Elementary in my district just on Thursday of this week during the first day of school, and I heard it from my constituents. The pay raise was a good first step, but we're still having problems recruiting good teachers. We're still having problems with classroom sizes. We have a great first start, good thing happening in Oklahoma. We're going to get there, and obviously the citizens are telling us that vote on 1010 mattered.
I saw it because I follow him on Twitter. That's how this works. All right, no campaign show would be complete without having This Week in Weed, as we started last week. This is the topic. We've stayed with this topic, even though we're talking about others, but there are still things going on behind the scenes. This topic never ends because there's something happening all the time. Legislatively, it's really been taken over by what's happening at the Capitol.
Absolutely. Well, on a quick intro, what happened on the legalization petition, it looks like it did not get the signatures necessary. That won't be on the ballot coming up. And what is currently going on in the bipartisan, bicameral committee in the Capitol that I'm honored to get to co-chair with Senator Greg McCourtney. We had law enforcement come in last week. We're kind of honing around. We are going to accomplish the will of the people. That's the feel in the Capitol right now. It's really a listening feel in the Capitol as opposed to talking to. We're listening to constituents as opposed to talking at them. It's really been an exciting dynamic with Democrats, Republicans working together. Feels like we're coming in on some reasonable regulations as far as labeling and packaging and how do we know that citizens are getting what it is they voted for and they're getting the right product. And when you have law enforcement, the medical community, the pro-788 community working together, it's a great thing. It's a good feeling.
The weekend weed for you.
Well, there has been another week that's gone by and a lot more talking, but it's yet to be seen how exactly all of this talking is going to play out when it comes to medical marijuana for the citizens of the state of Oklahoma. I am very pleased to see my colleagues, both on the Senate side and the House side, working together in these weekly committees to try and make sure that the legislature is doing its job. However, I will say that there are a few things that the legislature is going to need to decide, and if we're going to do a special session in order to fix these things and make sure that medical marijuana is both safe for our citizens and that we're distributing it in an appropriate way, that needs to happen before the elections in November.
Which are just around the corner. See us again at news9.com/your vote counts. Follow me, Scott Mitchell, on Twitter @MitchellTalks.